Welcome to Make That Keto, a series where we take yummy looking foods and make them keto friendly for you, but also for us because we're gonna eat it. And today's episode of Make That Keto is sponsored by LMNT. More about them later. I was scrolling through Facebook and I happened across a video recipe by Delish and I said, wow, that looks delicious. It was a blueberry mousse cake. I've never actually had a mousse cake before, nor have I made one, but you guys are always telling us, please make some more dessert recipes. We're gonna try to make this keto for all of you today. So a couple of things about this recipe. Obviously sugar is not keto, but we can easily substitute that. Blueberries, I mean, you could have a little bit of blueberries, but honestly, they're pretty high carb for being a berry. They're like 21 net carbs, I think, per cup of blueberries. So we decided instead to replace the blueberries with raspberries because there's only like 6 net carbs in a cup of raspberries. I have high hopes for this recipe because it's like a cool recipe. Like literally it's cold, it's 90 degrees out and we're barbecuing this weekend, and I think that tomorrow when we serve this, it's gonna go great with barbecue food. But first we have to make the pie crust, and Sarah is gonna get started with that. So Sarah, how many times have you made a pie crust? 0 times.
So this is your first time attempting to make a pie crust?
Yes, it is. I have made non-keto pie crust before, but I have never made an almond flour pie crust before. There's a first time for everything. So we're gonna be using Wholesome Yum's almond flour crust for this recipe. We will leave a link to Wholesome Yum's recipe in the description below if you guys wanna know the exact measurement. She has a wonderful website filled with different low carb and keto recipes, so make sure to check her out. So we combine all of our dry ingredients first, the almond flour, the allulose, and the salt, and then we stir to combine all that together. And then we added in the butter and an egg and some vanilla extract. We made sure to combine that thoroughly. So we've lined our pie dish with a piece of parchment paper and we're making it stick to the bottom by adding in some avocado oil spray. And we're going to be flattening the dough into the pan.
Is there any way to make it like flatter?
I'm working on it. Masterpieces take time, Emily. They can't be rushed. Michelangelo, Leonardo, Sarah's pie crust. Pretty much in that order. They're making room right now in the museums for this piece of art.
It's rustic for sure.
I'm not done yet.
Rustic isn't a bad thing.
So this is as good as it's gonna get. So now we're going to be poking holes all over it so that it can bake evenly. And we forgot to mention earlier, but the original recipe was actually a mousse cake, but since we don't have a cake pan, we're going to be making this into a pie. Does it really matter? It's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so our pie crust is ready for the oven. We've preheated our oven to 350 degrees, and we're gonna be cooking it for 10 to 12 minutes.
Sarah and I do not talk about a lot of products on this channel, but we do talk about LMNT because we absolutely love their electrolytes, and I think some of you guys have tagged them in our content because they finally reached out to us and decided to sponsor this video. So let me tell you a little bit about LMNT. LMNT is a tasty electrolyte drink with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. LMNT is formulated to help anybody with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto diet. LMNT contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. For a limited time, our Keto Twins family can get a sample pack of LMNT for just the cost of shipping. Each sample pack contains 7 packets of LMNT, each a different flavor. The offer is limited to 1 time per customer. So click the link in our description to get your sample packet today. Thanks so much to LMNT for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to making the mousse pie. For this recipe, we're gonna be using like 1 3/4 cups of Lily's white chocolate chips, 1.5 cups of frozen raspberries that are kind of not really frozen anymore by the time that we're filming this, a wedge of lemon for maybe like a tablespoon of lemon juice, a packet of unflavored gelatin, and there's about 3 cups of heavy whipping cream in this recipe. You're gonna be using 1 in the mixture, and then you're gonna be folding all of that into 2 more cups of whipped heavy whipping cream. It seems relatively straightforward in my head. Oh, also we're going to be using 3/4 cup of allulose in this recipe. So let's get started. So we took our raspberries and we blended them in a NutriBullet. You could also use a food processor or a blender, and we blended it until they were nice and smooth. We put them into a bowl. I sprinkled in a tablespoon of lemon juice. Then I sprinkled the unflavored gelatin on top to let it bloom for 5 to 10 minutes. I have 1 cup of heavy whipping cream in this saucepan that I've brought to a simmer, and then I turned off the heat. I have my bloomed raspberry puree with the gelatin on top and my white chocolate chips next to it. I'm gonna pour this into the heavy whipping cream, whisk it in, and then pour all of that over the white chocolate chips, and hopefully it works. It looks like a brain. It looks weird. Doesn't that look really pretty pink? I'm loving the color of it.
Looks like Pepto-Bismol.
This looks so pretty. I'm so excited. We're gonna put this in the refrigerator for 15 minutes and it's gonna start to set while we get our whipped cream ready. We're going to be mixing this with 2 cups of heavy whipping cream that has allulose in it. We're gonna make that into peaks, and I think it's gonna be really good. I'm really excited about this one. In this bowl, we have 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. We're also putting 3/4 cup of allulose, but it's powdered. We blended it in the NutriBullet, so it's powdered. For all of you that complain when we use this to make whipped cream, we're going to use an electric mixer. However, Sarah only has one, and so that's what I'm using. Stiff peaks. Wouldn't you know it is easier than doing it by hand? But this is the only form of exercise that we usually get. It seems pretty simple after this point. I'm gonna get the raspberry mixture out of the fridge. I'm gonna fold it gently into the whipped cream, and then we're gonna put it into our pie crust. So remember everybody, we are new to this recipe, and that means that we don't know everything. And what we realize now is that we're gonna have, I think, an excess of this filling, which is not necessarily a problem. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put them in their own little bowls without the crust, and we're gonna try them both. And maybe if you're trying to be a little bit more strict keto, maybe the one without the crust is something that you could treat yourself with. Now we're just gonna fill up the pie crust, and our bowls, we're going to put them into the refrigerator for at least 4 hours. We're probably gonna leave it in there overnight, and I will be back here tomorrow for a barbecue, and we will try it then. We're gonna put these in the refrigerator for about an hour, but then we're going to cover them because we don't wanna leave this in there overnight, absorbing all the flavors in the refrigerator. So make sure to cover it with saran wrap after you put it in for like an hour or 2, if you're gonna do this ahead of time.
Bye.
Bye. So it's the next day, and we're back here at Sarah's house. We are having a little barbecue. We're gonna be making some burgers and stuff, and I am excited to try the white chocolate raspberry mousse pie that we made yesterday. This is the longest that we've had to wait for something to set before we got to try it, and so let's go get it out of the fridge and put a little bit of finishing touches on it and give it a try. So this is the final result. It looks really, really good. We're estimating that this is gonna be about 7 net carbs. So if you want to save on a couple of carbs, like probably 3 carbs, you could have it in our other crustless version. I'm gonna try this first, and then I'm gonna try the crustless version. It's good. It's good. Oh my gosh, it tastes so good. It tastes like white chocolate. It tastes like raspberry. The crust is good. It's a simple crust. It fits it well. It's so creamy though. I haven't had anything like this in so long. I don't know if ever. If you're just trying to cut back on the carbs, this one probably has 4 net carbs. Because you're gonna be saving a lot on almond flour. You're gonna be saving a lot of calories. So, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Make like, 8 individual servings of this and go to town with it. The whipped cream, optional, but we're trying to dress it up a little bit for you guys.
Indulgent?
I'm drooling. I'm excited to try it. I had to look at it in the refrigerator overnight, so a very anticipated moment. It's creamy and light. You have taste that white chocolate in there, the raspberries. This is my husband, Brad.
Hi.
Okay. This is a white chocolate raspberry mousse pie that we
Looks
have made up the recipe for.
I gotta get the
We're gonna have
raspberry
fun.
on there. Oh man, it's good.
He says it's good.
It's good pie.
Okay. Well, we're gonna be eating dinner soon, so.
Good pie.
Good pie and goodbye.
Anyway, so we got a thumbs up from Brad, and we're going to be signing off here. Remember to get your sample pack of LMNT, and you just have to pay shipping. Use the link below in the description. Anyway, I'm Emily, and Sarah's behind the camera, and we are the Keto Twins signing out, and that's Brad.